We're over halfway through the year now. It's time to go over the majority of the albums released this year. The list that I'm working with right now is pretty much just the first 2 pages on albumoftheyear.com, which is organized by popularity, aka the amount of reviews left by users and pretty much just overall traction. You know, this is not every album I've listened to this year, but this is the majority of the popular ones. If there is an album I'm leaving off that you think is really popular, I'll update it later. Kicking it off with the Ethel Cain record. This is a noise album, a drone record, but it also has some like really beautiful songwriting moments in it. I think it's great. I don't know if it's quite album of the year contender because I have heard better projects like this, but I love how unnerving this album is. I think it's really beautiful in its own sort of unique way. Is this the Ken Carson record? I think the Ken Carson albums, for the most part, every record, every release, I feel like is getting more bland and unremarkable. Glockavelli. This is the Key Glock record. I think it's probably one of the best trap albums of the year. I think I rate this album pretty highly. I think it's a really fun one. The Chico album, I thought this was gorgeous. I think that it is a little bit samey, but in a really beautiful way. I don't think it kind of blew me away as it did some other people, but gorgeous record. Hurry Up Tomorrow, The Weekend. I think this is good. I think that it's bloated. I think that there are way too many tracks on it, and the transitions are cool, but they aren't like Dawn FM cool either. There's some really good songs in it. I love Open Hearts. There's some huge highlights on this record, and it's really well produced. Sometimes it feels like it's a little overproduced, but I think for the most part, there's just too many tracks on it, okay? There's too many songs. I think there's a great album in here somewhere, but I just don't think it needs to be this long. Mayhem, Lady Gaga. Listen, I still think even though the last couple tracks don't live up to the first half of this record, I think it's a great pop record, and I was pretty impressed by it. It's got a really high production value on it, and Gaga's doing a lot of different stuff while still having that Lady Gaga flavor that I think that fans would come to the album for, and that's important. Panda Bear. I like this album when it dropped. You know, it kind of is doing a combination of those like art pop elements, but also like the 60s, 70s vibes. I think it sounds really good, but for now, I'm going to put it at like the top of good. Sam Fender. I said it was an album of the year contender when it dropped. I still love this record. I think that it's kind of been eclipsed, but I think the songwriting is that good. And I also think that Sam brings enough of his own flavor to like the Heartland rock Bruce Springsteen sound that it doesn't bother me. Inhaler, I was just kind of whatever on it. It just kind of isn't the most interesting indie music. So I'll put it at okay. Central C, this was... I think there's some highlights on it, but it is just super one note. Yeah, okay, Squid. I did not like this as much as Oh Monolith. I did not like this as much as Bright Green Field. They kind of switched away from their original sound, and they're doing a little bit more of a post-rock thing. Yeah, I mean, it's still really well done. There's some talented musicians. Just not obsessed with it. Tate McRae. Okay, I don't think the Tate McRae album is all bad. Listen, I don't think that mainstream pop music necessarily needs to have the most interesting lyrics, but the amount of cliches on this album and the amount of times that I feel like Tate is just writing about nothing is pretty frustrating. I'm also not a huge fan of her voice. I think I do need to make a new tier, guys. Okay, 2 separate tiers, decent, meh. That's the way I feel about this. Chat, what album is this? Oh, this is the Lil Baby album? Oh my God. Speaking of forgettable, Jesus Christ. I forgot that he dropped this year. Okay, Swans record. I thought the Swans record was really good. I think that this is their best album that I've heard from them as long as I've been listening to Swans. As far as like new drops go, I think that this is their best one. Mac Miller, I think it's kind of an album of the year contender. Okay, yeah, I think it kind of is an album of the year contender, even though it is weird for me to put it up there because this is an album. It's a posthumous album, but it isn't because it was made in 2015. It is wonky, it's abstract, and the songwriting is like really heartfelt at the same time and depressing, especially given the context of what happened in Mac's passing. Okay, Lou. I really like this album. I understand why it's a bit divisive because I don't think that a lot of the ideas on this record are as complete as they could be. It could be a little bit more fleshed out. The ideas are so strong, and I love the ambiance, and I love the pure quality of the synthesizers. I thought it was fantastic. So I'm going to put it in great. Yeah, I thought that the Spirit Box album has a lot of really fun riffs on it. I think melodically, like, the hooks are there, the riffs are there. I thought it was a really fun record. I liked it. I'll put it in great. The Murder Capital, I loved this album. I love how gritty it is. I love how authentic it feels. Murder Capital album, really strong. I think this is the Panchico album, which unfortunately I thought was just good. Lisa, honestly, I think it's in that meh tier. You get really tired of what she's talking about here. Like, yeah, it's thrown together in the sense that, oh, let's try this thing, let's try that thing, let's just do every single trend humanly possible. But like I'm a bad girl, I'm rich, I got a lot of money, I'm like pretty and cool. There's no identity to it. At least it wasn't full of sleepy ballads. Are you talking about the Rosé album? Honestly, there's some interesting beats on here. Occasionally. Really like the Miley Cyrus album. I think it's produced really, really well. Like, the production team that she put behind her on this album is incredible. I think she did an amazing job assembling the team for this album. It's like a really well curated team and a really well curated sound. I'm just not huge on the lyrics. Like, I think that if we're going to make an album that sounds this grand, I don't think it's crazy to say you gotta rise to the occasion lyrically. And for me, it takes away from it just the tiniest bit. I still think it's a really solid record. Mike, definitely one of the best artists in the abstract rap scene. But when you're getting a Mike album, you're getting a Mike album for the most part. Rebecca Black, Salvation. I can't remember. Is this an EP or an album? It's a really short album if it's an album. It's her best project by far. I'll put it at the top of good. I've always felt like Rebecca Black just kind of copies all of her influences and doesn't really have her own identity to her. But I think that she does a good combination of all of those influences on this album, and she kind of comes into her own. Bad Bunny. You know, fuck it. I'll bump it up to album of the year contender. I mean, like, listen, this is one of my most listened to albums of the year. So obviously I love this record, Territory. Listen, this is his most honest album. This is his most vulnerable record, and this is coming from somebody that is just reading the English translations. And in my reaction, listening to what my chat had to say about it, okay? I cannot speak Spanish. But I think that it's a really fun record. It has some of the best reggaeton I've heard in years. It has some of the best Latin pop I've heard in years. And he's actually choosing to talk about things that matter, which I think is important. And there's a lot of stuff that I think people can take away from this record. It's a love letter to his homeland. This is why am I blanking on it? Spelling album? This is the Spelling album? It's not the Turning Wheel. Like, there's some really cool production ideas. For me, it just didn't blow me away. I really liked the Japanese Breakfast album when it first dropped. But while the instrumentals are fantastic and the songwriting is really good and the arrangements are really solid, the more I listened to it, the more I felt like this isn't Jubilee. It just doesn't have give you the same feeling that Jubilee had. Asian Glow, I thought this album was also great. It's definitely one of the best emo albums or emo adjacent records of this year. Jane Remover, who knows what to even categorize this as genre-wise? This album's insane. It goes in every which way, every direction. It's just a kind of a mind-blowing, overstimulating experience. This album is overstimulating. But in a great way. Yeah, I thought this Clipping album is fantastic, bro. They did it again. I don't think I like it quite as much as Visions of Bodies Being Burned. I think I love the horror vibe of that album. This one doesn't really have that, but the textures on here are insane. Dark Side, really underappreciated one. Yeah, this album's an experience, man. You just gotta let it take you away, you know. Lucy Dacus, I don't love this. And I'm somebody who's a huge fan of Lucy's songwriting style. This record just didn't connect with me. And I like the shoegaze elements that she brings in there. I kind of like how noisy it gets. But ultimately, it just there's something about the songwriting combined with the production that just is not clicking. Def Evan, it's album of the year contender, obviously. This album is fantastic. I'm probably putting it towards the top. I'm a huge Sunbather fan. Love that record. All of a sudden they come back with this record and it's like Sunbather again. Pretty much just as good. Nobody is doing like the Black Gaze sound at this high of a level. They have the two best Black Gaze albums of all time. This one and Sunbather. Is Ruby's the name of the Jenny album? This is solid. Like, this is overall a good record. And I think that while there are a few tracks on here that I would just prefer not to ever hear again, as far as like solo Blackpink releases go, this one and Jenny as an artist easily has like her career seemingly figured out the most, what she wants to do, the sound that she's curated. And, you know, it is a sound that has a lot of influences from people like Rihanna, but like influences are good. Just know what you want to do. And I don't think that Lisa or Rosé know what they want to do. She just definitely has it figured out the most. And she's got the attitude. And she has the feature artist. And it seems like she really cares about the music. I don't feel that when I'm listening to this Lisa album. I feel like she wants to be a pop star and continue doing her pop star stuff. I don't think she really cares about curating a sound, whereas I feel like Jenny does. Viagra Boys, dude, the songwriting is unhinged on this album. And I don't know if this is a hot take because I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, but the more I listen to this record, the more I feel like this is an album of the year contender. The more I feel like this is a top tenner. And even though I love how like the synth work comes in the latter half, and just to add something more fresh as you listen through the album, I just think it's assembled in such a great way. And it's so charming, even if it is weird as hell. All right, Joe, I thought this was a pretty good one. Not quite up there in the great territory, but I think Joe has a lot of promise. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Morgan Wallen, awful. Even if there are some manageable songs on this Morgan Wallen album, even if there are some manageable ones, some listenable tracks, okay? It's like 40 tracks long. As you listen through to it, you genuinely are like, is this a different song? In a way, he's the Drake of country music. Is just, I don't care. I care about the fucking charts and I care about how much money I make in streams. I don't care about making a good album. People already like me. He's also like Drake in the sense that no matter what he puts out, it's going to chart really high. The quality doesn't matter. And when you're in that position and you're a money-hungry fiend that doesn't care about your audience or the quality of your music, you can just put out a 37-track album because people are going to listen to all of them. The Model Actress album is fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. It's so good. I think it's one of the best produced albums of the year easily. It sounds so expensive, but dirty, but like it's so full of textures and life and like different interesting sounds, and this album is just chugging along while also having brilliant songwriting and really moving like delicate ballads at the same time. It's insane. This album is fantastic. It's towards the top for me. I cannot stop saying enough good things about this album. I just think it's brilliantly put together. And when an album is produced this well and the songwriting is this strong and interesting, it just has to be an album of the year contender. Backwash. This is a heavy album. Deals with some real subject matter, both personal and talking about the world. I love when a hip hop artist actually tackles things that matter. And yeah, I think it's pretty brilliant. Okay, Black Country New Road. I love it. I love this record. And I've talked to many people that don't feel the same way about this album as I do. And I think from my perspective, Isaac leaving the band and all of that stuff, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but we got this album out of it. And I think that if we're looking at the glass half full, not a bad consolation prize, okay? And I do not agree with some of the people in my chat that think that the band is better after Isaac, because I still think that Isaac is a generational songwriter, and there isn't a songwriting moment besides maybe Nancy on this album that I like as much as Ants From Up There. The musicianship on this album is just out of control. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. I don't want to have to talk about the Drake record. I knew I was doing this video, so I went through some of these albums and was like, okay, I should go back and listen to some of these records that I've been avoiding going back to, just to have a refresher about what it sounds like. Listen to this Drake album again, Drake / Party Next Door collab album, an album that's been teased forever. And To me, this album, the one thing that stuck out about it even more this time is how much better Nokia is than the rest of the album. It's like the only track on this entire record that even remotely has a pulse. Obviously, this belongs in bad. There's not anything memorable about this album besides Nokia. All right, Lil Wayne, this is generationally awful, unfortunately. God, I hate having Lil Wayne in the same tier as fucking Drake and Ken Carson. But that's the reality. And the fact that it's part of the Carter series is so sad. How does this happen? It's kind of Rebirth Part 2, but this is worse than Rebirth. It is. Sharks ain't always in the water. They kind of are, though. Okay, Bon Iver. I thought this album is brilliant. And that is completely disregarding the stupid idea to do an EP, do the fucking Beach House rollout of putting an EP in the album. Why do that? I don't get that. Released the EP last year. It's kind of like a folk, like indie folk EP, classic Bon Iver stuff. And then we're just going to front load the album with that shit. I don't understand why. Even though it's great. Like the indie folk stuff is great at the beginning of that record. But why put it on this like essentially like a pop soul alt R&B album? Like I don't get the point of that. But regardless of that, the material on here is so good, and the work Jimmy Stack does on it is so good that doesn't matter. I mean, ultimately, I'm being nitpicky here, but I think it's brilliant. I love the songwriting, and it's some of my favorite Justin Vernon vocal performances ever. Selena Gomez, this is bad. This is bad. Let me do a Lana Del Rey thing. Okay, let me hire Charlie XCX to make a song for me, and then also bringing pretty much nothing to the table vocally, and pretty much every feature artist on this album, they make it their song. The Maria's track, it's just a Maria song. McKinley Dixon, Album of the Year contender. Listen, I love jazz rap albums that just use a sample. I love jazz rap albums that are like more hip hop focused. But I love a jazz rap record that is more focused on the jazz part of it than the rap part of it. And there's some great rapping performances on this McKinley Dixon album too, but it's the arrangements that I think are absolutely fucking stellar. Speaking of amazing, Little Sims, this album, while it's not Simbi, it's really hard to replicate something like Simbi, and this album is not Simbi, but it has some really beautiful songwriting moments on there, and some really interesting concepts, and that's what's important. Like the theatrics on this album is really what sells it for me. Yeah, I think it's 5. I thought this one was so much fun. I thought the Car Seat Headrest album was like, it's like decent. It's kind of trying to be a concept record, and I think it really falls flat in that respect. Oh, this is the Yule album. Okay, I liked this record. I think actually, you know what? I'm gonna put it at great. It is an album I need to go back to more though, because I really liked it when I first listened to it, and it's one of those albums that I just got really busy, and I haven't been able to go back too much. I don't like it as much as Soft Scars, but this one's solid. Again, Yule does a really great job at blending like these sort of different sounds together to make something pretty unique. Two Hollis, right? This is Two Hollis album. For me, it feels like Two Hollis is like continuously licking his lips seductively at me at every single line he says on this album. Yeah, and I don't know, like every album I've listened to Two Hollis before this, I liked more than this one, or like every project, almost every song. This is the Billy Woods album. The unnerving quality of this album and the spookiness, and it's how tight the rapping performances are, and just like the metallic textures on this album. I think it's so cool. And just Billy Woods is just that guy. I think Billy Woods is at the point of praise that people don't want to acknowledge that Billy Woods is that guy, and they're like, he's not that guy. I just think Billy is that guy. He just is. He just is continuously putting out like the best abstract rap stuff out there, and he refuses to stop. Caliuchis, I love this album. I love this soul record. The dream pop elements to it, and the guitars, and it's kind of an indie record at certain points, but at its core, it's a soul album. And yeah, I agree. One of her most personal records. I can't speak too much on that because I don't know exactly what she's saying on albums where she's speaking Spanish. Ultimately, it's the melodies on this album that really keep me going back to it. Youngblood, like honestly, it's in the meh or decent tier, but I'll put it in decent because I admire some of the attempts. clearly attempting to do a Britpop thing, clearly attempting to do an Interpol thing at certain points, and it varying degrees of success. Youngblood accomplishes that. Okay, Natalia Lafourcade, album of the year contender. Brilliant, and I mean like brilliant arrangements. Like the guitar work on here is fucking incredible. I can't speak too much on the lyricism. Again, don't speak Spanish. Pure beauty, insane. Definitely one of the best singer-songwriters out there right now, for sure. Pink Pantheress, it's not quite album of the year contender. I would like looked at the other albums on here. Not quite album of the year contender, but it is so fun, and it, I think, accomplishes everything that it wants to do at such a high level. Like, it's trying to be a fun dance pop record, and it is a fun, cheeky dance pop record. Skrillex. Yeah, I think that this is also an album of the year contender. It is. It's drop after drop after drop. Sure, it is just kind of nonstop in your face, but in the best way possible. It is like kind of similar to the Jane Remover album. It's overstimulating in a great way. But it just kind of is Skrillex to me, this album, saying like, listen, I still got it, and I can do sounds, different styles of dubstep and EDM music, still I can do it better than the top guys. I think Turnstile is either the top of good, no, it's great. Listen, I really love the super hard moments on here. Ironically, I was kind of worried that this album would sound too much like Glow On, but this album, when it goes hard and it does the hardcore stuff, it fucking rips. Like, some of the riffs on here are so addicting. Is this the Marina album? Yeah, this is like totally fucking forgettable. The Marina album bothered me in the sense that it was like so trying to replicate what her initial sound was, and it just fails at it so drastically. Okay, Benson Boone. Yeah, this is pretty bad as well. This is bad. This is a bad one. Benson, you don't need a belt at every moment you possibly can, especially since your vocals sound like that, like so fucking strained. And there's soft moments in this Benson Boone album, softer moments that I'm like, oh yeah, Benson Boone can fucking sing. But then he screeches again, and it's like, bro, what are we doing? But for the most part, like, what I hate about this album is that the songwriting is just so obnoxious. I don't know. Some of it is giving Where's My Hug At? Addison Rae. I think it's decent. I think it's fine. Listen, I think the influences are the best part about this record, and it's cool that the influences are there. It's cool that she decided to make this style of music, and I can tell that she like genuinely cares about it. She does need to work on her vocals and her songwriting, because both of those kind of fall a little bit flat. I also thought this Haim album was pretty decent. I think that there are some tracks on it I really like, but there's some tracks that I think are forgettable. Most other Haim records I like a little bit more than this one, but I thought it was decent. I thought it was okay. This is the Flume Peggy EP. This was kind of a mess, honestly. Virgin is not, it's not quite, I think, that album of the year territory, so I'm going to put it in great, but ultimately, I really, really like this album. It's not melodrama, but I like that it isn't trying to be melodrama. Lyrically, this album is pretty weird, but Lord's a weird girl. That's been established. Kevin Abstract. I actually think that this album is really, really, really good. I'll probably put it at the top of good. No, actually, you know what? I think it's at the bottom of great. I might be in the minority here, but I really enjoyed this album. It is a bit of a mess, but somehow it flows together pretty well for how like eclectic and all over the place it is. Ego Trip. These kids really pulled something off in their dorm room, didn't they? It's really fucking impressive. I don't know how they did it. The instrumentation is spot on. The guitar solos in these like kind of epic rap, like in these epic rap instrumentals, hip hop, like boom bap stuff, I think is really cool. It's a sick ass blend of stuff, and like, I think these kids are really on to something. So I was really impressed by that one. What is this? This is the Saba album, right? I think this album is really good. It is an album I need to go back to, though. I Am Music. This is a weird one. Because I really appreciate the vision of certain moments on this album, but it just becomes so... There's just way too many tracks in it, and it's just so fucking messy. And compared to like the vision and like how like focused something like Die Lit was, even I feel like Whole Lot of Red was a more like focused record. This album, I felt like the concept was there, and then it was just kind of totally abandoned. I do love Swamp Izzo though. Eusexua, I still think this is album of the year contender. I still think this is totally brilliant. I love the art pop like trance stuff on here. I re-listened to this recently, and I think it's fucking fantastic. I